Hi guys, welcome to another Seasons and Garden video. Today we are going to finally make our composter pergola. I messed this up. I had done like so many errors and I'm going to comment on each and every one of them. So it's more like don't do what I do video. But okay, it's DIY. The pergola is still nice and solid and it's perfectly fine. The first thing that I had to do is I had one board that I had to halve. When this was halved, I did the next step, and that is to measure 7 centimeters, which is actually the width of each of the boards, so that I make the relief cuts. This will enable me to chisel out the wood in this area so that I can connect the two planks and they are completely leveled out. My second mistake was using the chisel without first checking how the chisel is used. Just because my grandpa taught me how to use a chisel some 20-ish something years ago doesn't mean that I remember how to use it now. There were some things that could have been done better, and I should have marked the middle point of each of the poles so that I know exactly how much I need to chisel. That also would have helped, but in the end I was quite pleased with how it went. The next step of the process was to start painting all of the pergola posts. I didn't paint all of the sides of all of them. I did paint all of the sides of the ones that go to top and the lower parts and top parts of the vertical beams as well. That way, when I was putting the posts into their position, they were already painted and I just had to touch the parts that didn't have any paint on. Now, the third mistake that I did, but I managed to correct it, is I bought the wrong clematis. So this is Tranquility or Tranquilite, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And on the package it said that it grows up to 250 centimeters. It doesn't grow. That's like around 8 or 9 feet. It doesn't grow that much. It grows 4 to 5 feet. You know what? This will never grow to the size that I want it, because I need the clematis that will grow some 3 meters, so at least 10 feet, and this one wasn't going to do that. After a little bit of cleanup, you will see the error that I already said. I was starting to put in the post spikes, and unfortunately for me, my composters were too close to the fence, and this fence has like quite a good footing, and the footing was properly done with the concrete and everything that goes below the concrete to make it stable, and this has just been like a nightmare to put this post spiking, because basically what was happening is that I was trying to push the post into the foundations of the fence. We've now come to yet another mistake, and that was not buying the freaking post cross. Now, what the post cross does is you put it inside this post spike, and use this to, instead of the rotten wood that I had, because I did not have a proper wood as well. I was using some rotten old plank. Anyway, do not use a rotten post. Buy the tools that you need in order to push the post spikes into the ground. It will make your lives much easier. Because of the way that this old rotten piece of wood that I was using was inadequate in so many ways, it was really a nightmare to get the post spikes into the ground. And with the help of Grumpy, we've managed to actually put all of the spikes into the ground on their almost designated positions. It was a bit tough because, well, with the composters in this area, we weren't able to actually square it off properly, and this is something that I was aware of that it will happen. We did try our best to make it square, but yeah, this is our wonky blue pergola, and I'm fine with it. Now we come to yet another mistake that we've done while installing our post spikes. Now, these post spikes that we are using have 2 holes for 2 bolts, and the posts are then secured to the spikes by 2 bolts. We turned the spikes into the wrong direction, and it was almost impossible to fasten the 2 of the posts next to the fence securely. And it was also so difficult to push in the bolts through the posts, because it's much easier if you have like, I wasn't able to mark the second hole. I was only able to mark the holes that were looking towards me, but the holes that were going on that were on the other side, that were next to the fence, I wasn't able to mark at all. There was like no way that my pen was going to be able to mark those holes. You cannot just turn the post around and then mark the first holes, because these are budget post spikes. Their holes are not perfectly aligned. If you mark it on one side, the holes on the other side are not going to be perfectly aligned, and it will give you yet another problem. For the other 2 spikes, I was able to mark both the front and the back, let's call it the front and the back holes, and this made like an installation, like a breeze. I was done in like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes tops with all of the screwing and drilling the holes and making sure that everything is as level as I can make it. It's also much easier if there are two people doing this. But after this was done, we were then starting to put the horizontal posts up. And this also needed two people, at least first for the bigger ones, because they were a bit too long for me to just put them at the same place, and especially for the ones that are next to the fence, I wasn't able to go to the middle and then just put the post on top. When all of the tops were up, I have started then to drill the holes and put the long screws in so that everything is fastened up. I was quite exhausted after all this was done, but before I could put the mesh on, I had to first finish up painting the posts. So the posts that were not completely painted, I just took the paint and the roller and painted them, give them like 2 coatings of paint so that everything is nice and protected, even though I was using the pressure treated posts. We could now finish for the day. It was getting quite late, and after the whole day of putting up the pergola, I was exhausted. We came back the next day to put on the mesh that we will use. Grumpy wasn't allowing me to put the mesh on. He decided to put it himself. And for this, we are using the stapler. We have this cheap Accu stapler that is enough to make this a breeze. When the mesh was stapled on, I proceeded to plant finally my little clematis. At this point I still didn't buy the new one. The new clematis that I bought was Princess Kate. I used my usual tools to dig a hole and to plant the clematis. Both of the clematis are group 3 and you should cut them almost to the ground every year, and also when you plant them the first time, usually they say that you should cut them right away. But what I do is instead I let them grow the first year, and then a couple of years afterwards I just chop them all the way to the ground. After a couple of days, I have switched the clematis and the pergola was finally done. We didn't manage to film the adding of the bracing. The neighbors were having a party, so there was no way for us to film this. It's looking quite good. The bracing did secure it a bit more, making it less wonky. And the new clematis Princess Kate will be all over it in no time. The next thing that we're going to tackle are the swing posts. This we're going to strip the paint and then apply a new one, and then we're going to make like a small patio area around here. So I have to remove these 4 blocks, and then I will just, for now, I will just put on the black liner over here so that there's no weeds coming up. And in the future, the other corner next to the hedge will actually house the trash cans. And then after this is done and covered in the black tarp, I'm going to tackle the bramble jungle. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you won't do my mistakes if you make a project like this. Remember to pull out your composters enough so that you don't have to stick the posts into the very hard surface. And that's it. Thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.